Welcome to On the Road with Riley. I'm Riley Mulherkar, and we're back on the road, checking in with friends of ours across the country. Today, we're going to the city of San Francisco. I'm going to give my friend Marcus Shelby a call. Marcus is a composer, arranger, band leader, educator, an incredible bassist out in San Francisco, whose work focuses on the history, present day, and future of African American lives and social movements in this country. He's also collaborated with some heroes of mine, some guiding lights, folks who speak truth about race in this country and who have been for a long time through their work, through their art. People like Angela Davis, Anna Deavere Smith. So we're going to get into all that and hopefully even play a tune together. So let's give Marcus a call, let's go to San Francisco, and let's see what's up.
Marcus,
What's up, man?
it's so good to see you, man. When we started this series, it was all about, you know, um, how are people coping with the pandemic and COVID and health wise, sanity wise, economically wise as musicians, what are we doing? How are we coming together? And then there's this been this national shift since the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, all this stuff going on. And I just want to know, like, how are you processing what's happening right now? Where are you at? Just last night, I got to watch this live stream of a show you did, I think last year or previously, with Angela Davis, who's been such a voice that I've been turning to. You and I first connected through Anna Deavere Smith and some more Hinder Hughes, who are other, guiding lights for me and arts and activism. So, um, yeah, like where are you at right now? Like, how are you? What are you thinking about? How are you um, processing what's going on in this country?
When pandemics first started 2.5 months ago, or whenever the official day was, a lot of people got busy and they were trying to interpret the moment, and I was following that. And for me, it was hard for me to kind of just sort of, you know, create in the moment. I felt like I needed to kind of stop, listen. I felt like the sort of the sort of lockdown or quarantine was also a blessing to kind of regroup, to rethink, to recharge, and listen. Take because before that, me, like many other artists, are going 100 miles an hour, getting from one gig to the next, trying to plan a new project, trying to finish a project. And that's just sort of the way that we exist, no matter where we are, and no matter where we are in our career. It seems like we're always sort of pushing. So this was like, you can't do anything, you can't go anywhere, and so what could I do? And that's really kind of recharge physically, mentally, spiritually, and that was sort of the way I've operated for 2 months, and then the George Floyd incident happened, murder, and then the incident in Central Park happened. With the the brother that was bird watching, and had the confrontation with the white lady there, and then Ahmaud Arbery. I'm not putting these in any sort of chronological order, but they all happened at around the same time, and it was like, this has affected me. I can't ignore this. I can't be quiet about it. I feel like I got to listen to my inner Nina Simone, who has told us that an artist has to speak about what's happening around them. That's the duty of the artist. I don't know if everybody agrees with that. That's the way I've always have felt creative and felt connected and felt a part of the current, the past, and hopefully the future. And so, I couldn't just recharge. I had to kind of get involved, read, plug in, get emotionally involved. And, so that's where I'm at now, and making sure I know exactly what's going on, reading different things to stay informed, and following my fellow artists who are doing different things, saying different things. and just kind of staying present with it, you know. So I kind of feel like the recharging has to be over with, and at this point in time, composers and musicians they gotta compose, dancers gotta dance, choreographers gotta choreograph, painters gotta paint, poets gotta preach. This is that moment, and so that's kind of where my heart is right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's such a moment for action, but I think also like you're a testament to that in the sense that sometimes, you know, I sometimes find myself fighting the paralysis that can come from how relentless um, the this time is in terms of you know, trying to at once process the police brutality, every new incident that we see, whether it's on Twitter, like every hour of people fighting against police brutality and the over militarization of the police, and only being met with more brutality and force. And maybe at worst, it can feel selfish, or it can feel like not enough to be a musician, to be playing my trumpet. Um, but at the same time, you know, trying to remember what you said about the need for action, and it's like we use the tools that we have. So for viewers who are not familiar, go check out Marcus Shelby. Did this project on blues and Black feminism. Am I correct? Was that the
Blues
title?
legacy, yeah, blues legacies and Black feminism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on a book by Dr. Angela Y. Davis, and you know, I think it came out in 1999. And I'll just back up a little bit because this is a really good book. I actually have mine right here. Um,
Oh,
well,
you didn't even
well,
plan that.
I didn't even plan that, but you know, mine's all beat up, man. You know, I mark my books. It's probably sacrilegious to most people, but it's a really good book because it really looks at this time period, the 1920s, 1930s, um, where you had early blues singers, Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, and then later Billie Holiday. And she really dissects these songs, Dr. Davis, and goes through and kind of gives you an idea of what they mean, where, in some cases where they came from, and it gives you an insight of Black life during this time period, um, specifically through the lens of a Black woman. If you study this music, the history of the music, yeah, then you're studying the history of this country specifically. You know, when you go back to the birth of the blues and all the various forms of which the blues is rendered, blues shouts, work songs, field cries, complaint calls, spirituals, then you start to see the genesis. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here. You start to see the genesis of all the things that are the underpinnings of American music, not just what we think of as jazz, but pop music, country music, all that stuff is sort of the roots are connected to this early form of Black music that you can't really separate. You know, when you talk about authentic American music. So, and all that is documented in history, throughout history. Like you said, you know, so much of it is connected.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I wonder if that's a good segue for us to get to play a tune together. Is there any tune that you've had in your mind, or
I think we should maybe play something that we connect to. We both connect to Anna Deavere Smith. This was sort of a center song in her last piece, Notes from the Field. And of course, it kind of connects to John Lewis's role, scene in her film, in her piece or play. We both got an opportunity to play on that soundtrack, so maybe we can do that. Maybe a course of blues. I don't know. I'll do something, and then we'll see where we go.
that sounds so a little bit of Amazing Grace? And for those who haven't seen Notes from the Field, it's Anna Deavere Smith's newest work. It play adapted into uh, film on HBO, and Marcus is a star of the
Sorry.
production. But it's the way that the music accompanies her work is really beautiful, and I think inspiring for me as another musician, just musician to musician, inspiring for me to see how music can speak to moments like this. So
Thank you, Riley.
Thank you, Marcus. It's so good to talk to you.
Too, man.
Thanks for watching. And if you want to hear more of Marcus Shelby and his work with Anna Deavere Smith in her HBO film Notes from the Field, head over to the link in our bio. It's streaming for free until July 3rd, and I can't recommend it highly enough. The film is a powerful act of storytelling and forces us all to take action to change the conversation and change the system. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on the Road with Riley.